We're back.
Yo, swingers.
Yo! I was telling a great story like 5 minutes ago, but the boys didn't tell me we weren't recording, and I don't feel like repeating myself.
That's fine. It wasn't that great.
The swingers.
It was about my mother-in-law, and she's the best woman in the world.
Actually, it was about your father-in-law.
Well, he's a pretty cool dude, too. But Peggy is just so wholesome.
Peggy's very nice lady.
She is. And
Top
she,
10.
and she thinks you guys are pretty good.
Which is, I don't understand how
She's
we're
like,
one.
oh, I was emptying the dishwasher and I can't reach the high shelf to put this mixing bowl away. So Chris was there and I asked him to do it and he did. What a good egg. I'm like, what monster? What tall person is standing next to a short person who says, could you put this on the tall shelf for me? And it's like, nah.
Like, you go to the grocery store and you're tall, and short ladies just come up to you and be like, can you grab this for me? And you just do it, right?
Or,
has anyone ever said no to that ever?
I don't walk
First of
through
all,
the
it's just
store
a-
with them, but like if I'm in the aisle and they're like, oh, while you're here, would you reach this? Yeah, elderly people or people with mobility aids. If they're like, I need something from the top shelf, I got you, fam.
Or if there's just a short person who can't reach, I don't care
That's true.
why you can't reach.
That's true.
Like, I've never heard of anyone saying no. Like, I hear about people being like, I'm uncomfortable in this situation, and then still doing it.
Yeah, especially because like,
I just see it as a
so
flex.
strangers often will ask for favors, like small, reasonable favors, to begin an interaction, and then you're kind of trapped by social convention, and that's when they get weird. Like, men will be like, hey, hold the door, and then they kind of trap you in the lobby and start making really uncomfortable comments and stuff.
Man's never done that to me before in my
Yeah,
life.
that's because we're a very masculine-looking person.
That's sexist.
Oh
Are
my
you
God.
saying all men are sexist, Darren?
No, I'm saying that misogynists are most likely to target people with a feminine presentation.
Hold up.
You don't look feminine.
Misogynists. Women can be misogynists too.
Yeah, that internalized misogyny is no joke.
Hold the fuck up
It's
though.
one hell of a
Back
drug.
when I worked at the tire shop in the year of our Lord 2018.
Yikes. Bad time to be in.
I went to pick up a work order to work on this lady's car, and it was literally just an oil change and inspection. Done hundreds of these at this point. Easy as fuck. And this lady comes from the behind the counter and says, "Oh, young lady, no, that's not. I want an experienced veteran to work on my car." And I turn around, I'm like, "Excuse me?"
Do you remember the time we were at the hardware store together?
Done yet.
Oh, my bad.
And my boss, Bill, one of the only cool things he's ever done is like, hey, I only employ experienced veterans. Any one of my employees could do this job. And she's
Male
like,
or female.
Yeah.
and she's just like, no, I want an older person to do it. So it's like, fine. Bob, who's like 60 and kind of doesn't do jobs that well, you come do this, okay?
Did that little boy have a rifle?
I don't know. I didn't see it.
I'm just saying. I'm ramping up a lot better now.
But yeah. But do you remember the time we were at the hardware store? Seth usually, and not usually, but very often wears his hair in a low ponytail, and he has very long hair. And he had sunglasses on, and a t-shirt, and like sweatpants. And
He was cool about it.
he's a slender fella, so like he honestly looked pretty androgynous. And we walk up to the register, and this lady is like, "Oh, hey girls, find everything you need." And so he whips off his sunglasses and he goes, "What?" Like quacks out the word "what," and this poor woman's like, "Oh my goodness, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." And I'm like, really? It's the extensive apology that's worse. Like he does look like he could be on like a high school girls track team.
You know what the funniest part is? So my coworker Brandon, a couple months back.
It's your eyebrows.
Hold on. Hold on.
That seems like a different story. Logan, your story about Brandon.
I don't know what story that's even talking about.
We'll get to it after Brandon.
My coworker Brandon asked me, because of my ponytail, if I ever got mistaken for a girl. And this was in front of our other coworker Kim. And I'm like, no. He's like, really? Because like every time I see just your ponytail, I'm like, oh, there's a new girl in the lab. I'm like, first of all, when it's just a ponytail, yeah, anybody could get mistaken for a girl.
Yeah.
But like, But Kim's like, but no, no one could mistake Logan for a girl. He's too tall and his shoulders are too broad.
Yeah.
I'm like, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, if you see any of me beyond my ponytail, it's very clear I'm not a girl.
Nope,
Especially
it's the
the beard.
eyebrows.
He has a very thick beard.
I didn't have a beard at the time. This was pre-COVID, I think.
Logan does have a very sturdy, well-filled-in brows.
I was gonna say my beard
It's a very
has
nice way of putting it.
fell back in fairly well too.
Yeah, oh, that was my bad. So, earlier in the pandemic, Logan had a beard out of laziness, and it was getting kind of long and scraggly. And I was like, hey, Logan, you might want to think about trimming your beard.
Oh, this was like in August.
He's like, yeah, but I don't like have trimmers, and I'm not going to a salon right now because plague. And I was like, sure, that makes sense. I'm like, I have trimmers, and he's like, yeah, but I don't know how to use them. And my husband, who's sitting on the couch, getting exasperated, is like, Logan, she's offering to assist you with this. This is a free thing. You sit, she will operate the trimmers. And Logan's like, well, okay, I guess, because he's very resistant to change. But it went fairly well.
It did. It went
Then I
fine.
trimmed his beard another time or two after that. Well, recently he was getting scraggly again. And he's like, hey, can I come over and have you trim my beard? I was like, for sure. And I don't know if it was a bad motor skills day or what.
No. We tried a different guard.
Yeah, well, even that, I
I'm
should
stuck.
have left it longer. But yeah, I used a different, like, blade guard, like a 3 instead of a 5.
No. We grabbed the one that we thought looked like it was for beard.
Oh, yeah.
specifically.
It looked like a specialty item. I was like, well, I think we normally use the 4, but this one looks like it's for beards, so, and it's not labeled, so we'll try it. And then, I've got it on and going on. Zzz. Logan?
No, that's not what happened at all. That is not what happened.
Okay, you tell it.
Aaron was she did the bzzz, and then she just bursts out with her hysterical laugh.
The stress laugh.
Yes, which is hilarious to me because I'm like, either this is going great or it's going terrible, and I bet I know which one it is, but either way it's kind of funny.
Yeah, and Logan's like, what'd you do? And I'm like, well, I took off a little more than I intended. Why don't you go look in the mirror? And he had a straight up bald patch.
Oh yeah.
When his beard had been 2 or 3 inches long to start with. So it's not like we could trim the rest according to
And, like,
plan
fade
and
it
blend it
in.
out. No. I was like, so Logan, how do you feel about shaving today? I was like, I'll continue to trim your beard all the way off, and then I have like shaving cream and disposable razors, so you can do that, because there's no way in hell that I could do that without further disaster.
And laughing your ass off.
Yeah, you don't want to laugh while you have a razor on someone's neck.
Generally not.
Yeah. But Logan was super chill. I was like, Logan, I fucked up.
Though, because like swingers, my philosophy about it was, the reason I wasn't doing it myself is partially because I'm lazy, but also partially because I'm like, if I do it myself, I'm gonna screw up and then I'm gonna end up shaving. And so like when I'm having somebody else do it,
Lower risk of having to shave.
yeah, and then even when I do like have to shave, it's like, well, like I knew this might happen.
It was a free trim I got in my sister's basement. It looks like a free trim I got in my sister's basement. I've been cutting my own hair for like a year and a half.
You might be able to go up this bridge thing up here.
Yep, I'm thinking about it.
And truthfully, I don't think I do a bad job, but I also have long, relatively straight hair.
You can't see the back though.
And there's this professional hairstylist who's popular on YouTube now, and at the beginning of the pandemic, he's like, okay, this is a stylist's instructions for cutting your own hair. It is not gonna look
Oh shit.
like a professional did it, and you're not gonna be able to achieve like
Yeah, there's nothing for you up here, so.
specialized shapes. He's like, but if you want to
Shit.
trim off your ends, this is how you do it without having a disaster. And I follow that, and I do pretty good with that. And I'm trying to nail the curtain bangs. He's got
That
a
elephant has a crown. I think that's Babar.
king of the elephants. Where's Celeste and Zephyr? And
I haven't seen that in so long. Alligator, come here.
So I bet if you hit that tower really hard, you can knock
what
it
was
down.
the bad guy's name on Babar?
I have no idea. The rhino dude, right?
Yeah, it was Xerxes?
Xerxes?
So,
Not Xerxes.
knock down the tower.
I'm gonna
Stop
try.
chasing the alligator.
I can't pick this up though.
There's
Yeah.
smaller stuff above that you might be able to pick up
No, I
Okay.
can't knock it down.
Oh, Retaxes.
for taxes.
And then there's
hate Rick
Pompadour, who was like an old highfalutin person who was, on like the council advising the king. Uncle Arthur, Babar, Aves, Celeste, Alexander, Isabel,
Those were the
Flora, Ritaxes, yeah. Cornelius was another really old person. He had a hearing horn. You know how back in the old times when like hearing aids weren't a thing,
Boost.
and old people would literally have just a giant horn they held up to their ears.
Like, think about that one one dwarf from The Hobbit.
Yeah. Well, so
First of all, hilarious.
Cornelius had one of those, and it was extra funny because he's an elephant, so he has enormous ears to begin with. I'm gonna feel real silly if he doesn't, in fact, have the hearing horn. I gotta do an image search.
I definitely fell. Just a wee bit.
Google, get
This
your.
is not going great.
No,
I need to get
just-
up to 12 meters real fast.
Okay, yeah, He had the hearing. He had the hearing horn. Sure.
Okay, I believe you.
It was him or Pompadour. And Pompadour is less wrinkly, so I'm putting my money on.
Wow. Aegis must?
Must?
You know what I meant.
Listen here, you musty bitch.
I think that's looking in the mirror.
Yeah, I don't think that's ageist to say that
Logan's a
wrinkles
musty
occur
bitch.
more frequently the older a person gets.
Wow. They're called smile lines, Aaron.
It's only if you
Sure,
ever
if you're
smile.
wrinkling or in denial.
I got me crow's feet. And then also, like, I scowl and my eyebrows will climb up
Eyebrows?
towards my scalp in incredulity. So, like,
Well, I don't know if that's a word.
it's
Eyebrows?
incredulous, but incredulity. I'm probably not pronouncing it the best.
Oh, I think you gotta go up here and smell fresh.
Oh,
I'm
real
working on
word. And the pronunciation is incredulity.
It doesn't sound
Hear
like a
that,
real
swingers? Hear that, swingers?
This happens a lot.
Come on. It's my phone. I have the pronunciation thingy and it's not playing. There we go.
Incredulity.
Yeah.
Incredulity.
Yeah. Eat a dick, Logan.
word. I don't know what you're talking about.
The
I ju-
Oxford Dictionary.
I'm just saying.
Oh, the nerd dictionary?
So, like, I said I wasn't sure if something's a word. I didn't say you were
And
actually
you said
wrong.
it sounds fake and it doesn't sound
Because it does sound fake. But you're
Listen.
telling me to eat a dick just because I didn't know something, and that's kind of mean, though.
Yeah, but you're
Oh,
Logan.
shit.
Oh.
Oh, when I was in Calc 3 as a freshman, which is really difficult to do. It's
I never said it was difficult. I just said me and my smart friends all pulled it off.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Right.
It really was. Aaron, me and Steven, because we went to high school together, literally were just, we did what we did on purpose even. Like, it wasn't we did the best we could on the AP Calc exam and you allowed us to get into Calc 3. No, we got into Calc 3 because it saved us the most money.
That's true too. But also, like, so on our drives to school in the morning, I drove on the way there because traffic was heavier and Logan hates driving, and
I hate driving.
I was much more likely to convince him to drive in the evening when traffic was low. And he needed practice, so that's the way we made it work. He would be telling me about his classes and stuff. He'd be like, man, I have no idea what's going on in circuits. No one has any idea what's going on in circuits. The
Toto.
professor's the worst.
I didn't have circuits until my 4th year.
Yeah, I didn't say it was your freshman year that you... Oh,
You
I had
did.
graduated. Well,
We weren't driving to school together anymore.
yeah, that's the main salient point.
Can I get up? Help. Somebody, please. Just
I
let me
give you a
up.
push.
Thank you.
But yes, circuits sucked.
Yeah. And then you had a class, you had thermodynamics, and you were like, that's mostly a good class, but sometimes I have no fucking clue what's going on.
These dynamics are pretty thermal.
I don't remember. I know I wasn't a big fan of thermodynamics. I don't remember ever talking to you about it. I mean, I must have, though.
Yeah, you mentioned it now and then. Nothing like circuits. You're like, man, circuits is some bullshit.
No, it was my professor.
Well, yeah, like,
My professor literally showed up to less than half the classes. I kept a tally in the back of my notebook.
oh my god. Yeah, so I had stats. I have a double major in psychology and sociology, and they're both social sciences. And when you do statistical analysis, it's the same methods of stats. But for some reason, the school made me take stats to fulfill my psych degree and stats to fulfill my soc degree, even though oftentimes a requirement for one would be put toward the other as well. So that was bullshit. And stats the first time around, psych stats. Professor aptly named that motherfucker.
Dimitri, just
Dimitri!
Google and make sure there's other professors of that last name in the Midwest. Just to be safe.
Why do professors get so happy when or so proud of themselves? They're like, only this class is so hard. Only like 10 of you are gonna pass. Like,
Yeah.
why are you obviously admitting that you're a shitty teacher?
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, that does not happen.
Okay, it's like 7.
I've heard it before.
Seth, I've had a lot more professors than you did. I didn't hear it once.
My AP Chem teacher in high school said that.
That's because it's AP Chem.
No, there are a lot of teachers who, like, their attitude is like, it's my job to fail as many people as possible.
Well, okay, but I never once had that experience.
Oh.
I had professors warn people that this was the hardest class they were going to take in their undergrad, and he was going to do his best, but there were going to be a lot of failures because that's what the class was. It's controls.
I mean, that's one thing. If the class is demanding and difficult subject matter, during syllabus day, you say, now, you have to apply yourself and work hard because this is a difficult class. Not all of you are going to make it. But it's another thing entirely to be on syllabus day to say, I don't give out A's because A's are perfect and no one is perfect. Real talk happened to me in my math class at community college. Literally.
Okay, the class you can literally be perfect into.
Yeah. Like, this guy was intense. So I had stats for psych and stats for soc. And I did stats for psych first. And it was a nightmare. This guy would say, read the chapter before coming to class, and then we're going to do some exercises together, and then ask me any questions you need. So I did that. And, like, reading chapters in math books isn't that easy, but I do have to hand it to the authors. They made it as palatable as they could.
Never once read a math book.
Yeah. So, and then we're in
Fucking
class, he
show
breaks
off.
us into groups, and he's like, let's do this activity.
Damn it, let me out.
Me and my group don't understand it, which was Hair Kevin and this one dude who was like a total square, like student council 4.0.
At
like,
community college?
no, this was it at university.
Okay.
This was stats. We all struggled. None of us could make any sense of it. So, two, like, relatively smart slackers, and then, like, a nerd. And, like, the professor's always like, ask me questions. Ask me any questions you have. And I'm like, hey, I'm still having trouble with, I don't know, sum of squares or something. There was something I was having difficulty with. And this bitch, he says, okay, read chapter 8 again. And I'm like, I've read chapter 8, and I'm still confused, and you said ask questions. Anytime you ask questions, he said, read chapter 8 again. We'd be on chapter 12, and he would say, read chapter 8 again. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe if you can't clearly communicate the contents of chapter 8, you shouldn't be trying to teach chapter 12. He was a terrible teacher. His lab was a nightmare and super stressful. And then, about a semester or two later, I had stats again for my sociology degree, and I learned things. The professor explained things. He would discuss things. He wouldn't belittle you for asking questions. Also, the psych stat professor was unreasonable. He was like, you have to put this class first before anything else in your life, before work, before doctor's appointments, before childcare. And he's like, you should if you miss an exam, unless it's like for a funeral, you don't get to make it up. He's like, there are no excuses. If you take the bus, you can't tell me the bus is late. You should have taken a bus 4 hours early to make sure you were on campus. You needed a babysitter? Okay. Well, you can't tell me your babysitter bailed. You should have had 3 backup babysitters on standby. Because, you know, people can afford to just be on standby for like a $10 an hour babysitting gig. And lots of people came straight from work. I came straight from work a lot of the time. Like,
which, by the way, sucks.
and he's like, and if you drive and you get a flat tire, that's not going to cut any cheese with me, because you should have a spare and be physically able to change it on your own. And, you know, do it without dying on the side of the highway.
Well, just have your right tires blow out. That way you can't get hit.
Yeah, he was the worst. He was like, there's no excuse for not being here and not being perfect, and I will do nothing to support you in learning. Whereas Man Bun, the guy that taught sociology stats,
I assume Man Button is what he had, not his name.
he got his hair cut like halfway through the semester, and I'm kind of sad. I liked his little Man Bun. But-
Man buns are dumb.
They're so dumb.
But
Pony
he's...
can Galen.
You've had a man bun, Seth.
Against my will.
Yes, that literally was just talking to me the other day about how he did not like it.
Really?
Yeah, for the wedding, the
Yeah.
one wedding. Yeah, no, he's like, I hate all the pictures I mean, and that
Aw.
from the wedding because of the man bun.
I did it to make somebody happy.
There was an idea. Stark knows this. Called the Avengers Initiative. The idea was to bring together a group of remarkable people. See if they could become something more. See if they could work together when we needed them to.
Anyway, swingers,
We're not bitter.
Toto was complaining about one of her professors. I get to complain about my circus professor then.
Circuits was the worstest.
It was the worstest. And I just wanted to point out the fact that we had a different problem with when asking our professor questions.
I'd like to interrupt you briefly because I think I have Pepto-Bismol dried onto the back of my phone.
That's hilarious, swingers.
That's on brand. Anyways.
Instead of just like saying, like, at least when Aaron's professor got questions asked, he had an answer, which was read chapter 8, you know.
Not a good answer, but an answer.
Circus professor literally just laughed at a student for asking a question.
Wow. You should not be an educator.
So, circus professor, that was his first semester teaching circus.
Oh.
Basic circus. He was always a high-level teacher before that. He taught 4,000 or 5,000
Oh,
level
so this was
courses.
degrading to him. It was beneath him.
Probably. So he showed up to half the classes, which was great because when he wasn't there, we
did better.
We did better. We learned better. Like, and then
Am I gonna drown?
I don't
no,
know, you're submerged.
you're fine.
Whoa, here we are.
So
Destroying downtown,
he
moving
literally
fast.
laughed at a student for asking a question, and then he would spend, because our class in previous semesters, it had been twice a week, hour-and-a-half class period, or 2-hour class period. I think it was an hour-and-a-half class period. For us, our class period was an hour 3 times a week, and he would
Ew.
spend 10 minutes complaining about how short the class was and how he didn't have enough time to teach us. And
Well, that's not an efficient use of time.
nope. And he would also, if you showed up even 30 seconds late, he would go
Publicly
off.
shame you.
Yeah, and he would complain. He literally spent 5 minutes complaining about how a student showed up 30 seconds late and how it was disruptive to the whole class.
Really, honestly, teachers like that, what's disruptive is you going off.
You literally...
Especially if, like, who enters class, they come in through the back door.
Well, there were
they
no back
take
doors
well,
in
yeah,
that class.
but you take a seat at the back of the class. You enter quietly. Like, shit happens. It's the people who, like, roll in 15 minutes late and they take a seat at the front and they take forever to get their bags and stuff settled, and then they're asking, like, what were you doing before I got here?
Yeah, like the dude, I'm pretty sure I had him in other classes.
Yeah.
Never had a problem. Never talked to him, but never had a problem with him.
Yeah.
Which is most of my college career.
Yeah.
But like he literally just showed up, just sat down quietly, sat in the front row because that's where the first seat he could get to was.
Yep. You sit
And-
down quickly and quietly.
And it would have been even a 5-second distraction. It wasn't even that like
Barely
completely
registers with you.
ignorable.
Yeah, until somebody has to go on a power trip and lose their shit.
Yeah, but that was the
A lot of teachers seem to have control issues.
yeah. That professor, like in that rant, was also similar to your stats professor, where he said, "If you can't show up on time, don't show up. Period. Like if you're a second late, you better not come to my class."
Don't disrespect me and the other students in this learning environment and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, don't be an ableist bastard who assumes no one works and everyone can afford infinite childcare.
He literally said, "If you're worried about traffic, leave 15 minutes earlier." So, like that's not how that works, dude.
Yeah, like if you're coming from work. Like
You-
I worked in a restaurant. If I was like, hey boss, I've got a stats exam and I'm supposed to be there 4 hours early because my teacher is the Gestapo, he'd be like, okay, what you gonna do about that? I'm like, well, can I come in late or can I miss that shift? And he's like, you can get that shift covered or you can get disciplined. And I would turn to my coworkers, of whom there were only like 8. It was a very small restaurant. Like, hey guys, anyone want to cover half my shift? And it's usually crickets or like LOL.
Yeah, see, I was fortunate that even when I worked at Crap Meat Department, my boss was fully aware that for me, class came first, and he was okay with that.
Oh, actually, Chef was pretty reasonable most of the time. He was much better manager and much more human than lots of people who manage restaurants.
What the fuck?
This
Where
is
am I?
problematic. Just go backwards, son.
I'm trying.
He doesn't know where backwards is, unless this little green guy with the weird head indicates what direction you're going.
Well, yeah, we're going backwards, but Seth turned while he was in there, and now he's lost.
Oh, there we are. Okay, you have 30
Where
seconds.
the hell am I?
The middle of
Go that way.
fucking nowhere. Get that pagoda building.
No, get the boat.
Get that. Yeah, but the building's also there, and then there's a squid.
I have 20 seconds to get 50 fucking meters.
You can
Get
do
the
it.
big building.
Like, the thing is, there's not enough stuff here big enough for me.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, like, where you're supposed to go from here, because, like, you're just not...
I've searched the whole map at this point.
Yeah.
How do I do this?
Unless, like, there are things you picked
Do
up.
I have to have, like, the most expert pathing and shit?
Oh, like, potentially there's just enough on the map, and, like, you've dropped some, and that's it. You will now never...
No, there should be plenty spare. I know for a fact